Welcome to Breaking Ties, Is Divorce the Answer? This is your go-to source for practical advice and support when considering if a divorce is the right answer for you. Join us each weekday for a quick chat where we'll uncover a variety of topics such as child custody, property division, and self-care. Together, we'll explore the emotional, financial, and legal aspects of divorce and help you find the best path forward for you and your family. Here is your host and Certified Divorce Financial Analyst professional, Mike Fulkerson.
All right, welcome back to the Breaking Ties interview series. Today is day 4 of 5, and we are here with Marson Maynor, who is a loan officer with Geneva Financial and has a load of expertise in mortgages. How you doing today, Marson?
Doing fantastic, my friend. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good as well. Looking forward to the weekend here.
Yeah, man. Glad to be here. I appreciate it.
Yes, definitely. Well, I tell you, my listeners appreciate all the information you've said over the last 3 days. And if you're new to the podcast series today, I recommend you go back and you listen to the last 3 days so you get more information on mortgages during the divorce process and after the divorce. So today we're going to start with probably a fairly obscure kind of question. What are the implications of a quitclaim deed in a divorce?
Simple answer is you have two people that purchased the property, and now they're going to be giving up their ownership right to the property. So they would complete what's called a quitclaim deed. They'd be granting their ownership to the other person. They can transfer it to someone else, or they can just remove themselves, transferring titles solely into their spouse, and that's it. Now, that does not, though, if they did borrow the money together to buy the home, that does not negate them from still being personally responsible to pay back on the mortgage. All they're doing is just removing their name from the title, which means they no longer have an ownership interest in the property.
Oh,
yeah.
All right. Very interesting right there.
Don't quit claim ever if you are responsible for making a mortgage payment. Don't do that.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So for the quitclaim deed and value and stuff, should we hire an appraiser to assess the home's value? I mean, is that just standard practice?
You can. It depends. Again, if you're going to do refinance, then the lender will order an appraiser, right? Or appraisal, I should say. If they're going to sell, you may want to contact a real estate agent. Reason being is you go get an appraisal. That appraisal is going to be it's subjective, right? Typically, when you have an appraisal done for the purposes of a purchase, they have a contract. They have other key factors that they can include in their justification of value once the actual appraisal inspection has been done. And they use that as a comparison to other similar homes in the local vicinity to the subject property to give a more clearly defined value than what just an appraisal may do. Because then if they're going to sell, they might actually be able to sell it higher for them what they necessarily got an appraisal for on their own. But it doesn't mean that it won't appraise, when it's under contract for a sale at a higher amount. So you're just better off if you're going to sell, start with a real estate agent, have them, help you with determining value. If you're going to refinance, talk with the lender and let them do the work. Don't go and just get that on unless you just need to know and you're like a data freak, which people are, then it's like $500. So it's up to you. It won't be used for anything other than your own information. That's it.
All right. So we've talked a lot about if one spouse is going to stay in the property, they got to refinance the property. Can child support or spousal maintenance, i.e. alimony, be used for that qualification of the new mortgage?
Yes, but it depends. So it depends on a couple of things. The time at which it's, how long it's been going on. So if it's a new divorce situation and alimony and or child support are just now getting set up, that income couldn't be used if they needed to start their refinance right away at the time of the divorce being finalized. Okay. If one needs to have, like we've talked about before, removing their name, being, not being responsible anymore. Well, it may be difficult for the spouse that's retaining the property to qualify on their own now if they're not having that additional income coming in from alimony and child support. And in order for that to work, depending on if it's a conventional loan and FHA loan, they each have their own, but there's waiting periods. So minimal waiting period is going to be somewhere about 6 months. And what that means is they're going to need to show proof of that income coming in. So typically just getting 6 months bank statements and show that income has been coming in. And that doesn't necessarily need to be on the divorce decree, because you're looking at consistency. But where the hang up is now that income is coming in and being used, we need to also show now that it's going to continue for at least 3 years from the date of inception. So typically you would need a divorce decree that's now dictating that spouse that's responsible will continue to pay. So now if that child, let's say, is 17 years old, that is not going to continue on. And I know there's some things when kids are going to school, how that's going to be done through the divorce decree on paying additional, or not additional child support, but child support while they're maintaining college. That's going to be an as is, like an exception basis with an underwriter, because when they're 17, who's the guarantee that child's going to be going to school next year? We don't know. So there's a lot of, unknowns at that point. It's hard to give you a specific answer. Just know that if they need to qualify with alimony or child support, 6 months minimum and at least 3 years of expected recurring income coming in after the fact.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that's really great information right there. Appreciate that.
Why do they got to complicate everything so much, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. It can be, divorce is complicated anyway. So this just adds
to it.
Add to it. So, well, hey, we're wrapping up here the fourth of 5 days. I'm having a great time.
Yeah,
this interview has been fantastic. I know we've got more questions tomorrow on our last day. So we ask everyone to join us again tomorrow as we continue our discussion on mortgages and divorce. Marson and I would definitely like to thank you for joining us again. Hopefully you come back and see the rest in the finale of the interview series. Should you have any questions for Marson, feel free to look up his contact information in the description. And I always like to say, the divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. And we will see you tomorrow.
We want to thank you for listening to this episode of Breaking Ties, Is Divorce the Answer? With Mike Fulkerson. For questions, please reach out to Mike via email in the description or give him a shout at 630-444-1410. And remember to subscribe, like, and follow.